So today, with the anticipation of a blood draw in our future, I wanted to take a moment to prep Tango for what that experience is going to look like, smell like, sound like, and feel like a little bit, so that we didn't have such a shock to his system, even with trazodone on board, when it came time to schedule that actual blood work, okay? So in order to get him prepared for this, I used our mat to help him communicate with me when he was ready to learn things. And I placed this mat on one of our exam tables, which is in the back. That is where the blood draw is going to happen, just because it can take more than one person in order to make that work. So a room like this one, the exam room, is going to be a bit of a tight fit. If we have you, the owners, and then the doctor, and then the technicians all in this space. The treatment area in the back just has a lot more room to maneuver, so we can make sure to keep him as comfortable as possible, while everyone that needs to be involved can be involved safely. So we set him up in the back and waited for him to let me know when he was ready to engage. Oh, he's a good boy. The exam tables are pretty stressful for him. Being lifted and placed on a high spot in particular really kind of sets him on edge, and he did start panicking during the first couple of repetitions when I would pick him up, just put him on the table to hang out for a little bit. So I recommend that you practice lifting him onto maybe a kitchen counter or a bathroom counter or a washer and dryer, even, especially if they're not running. You don't want to have him running underneath him. That's going to terrify him. But just practice having him just like scoop him up real quick, put him on a raised surface, just let him hang out. If he wants some cookies, he can have some cookies, or otherwise just get a lot of love and affection while he's up on that high space, and then scoop him back up and put him back on the ground. Nothing bad happened, nothing uncomfortable happened. He's totally fine, and that way we can build comfort with him having to be on a raised surface. A raised surface is a lot easier for us to work with small dogs because it gives us the room we need to stand tall and do what we need to do instead of having to crouch over him and try to hold him so that he can be comfortable, okay? Then after we were on that raised surface, I grabbed some of our gauze and kind of dampened it with isopropyl alcohol. We're going to use that, good boy, to sanitize the area that we intend to enter our syringe so that we can do the blood draw. So he's going to smell that and he's going to feel that on his skin. And I wanted to get him used to what that was going to smell like and what it was going to feel like. He actually tolerated that pretty well. He wasn't so thrilled with the smell, surprise, but he was totally fine with me rubbing his front legs, which is where we're going to be doing the blood draw on. Then I practiced rubbing both of his legs while he was on the exam table, and then we would come back into this room. We have established that this room, which is exam room 2, I want you to remember that. This room, I just totally spoke incorrectly. This is exam room 4. Exam room 4, please remember that, exam room 4. This is where we want to get Mr. Tango set up, because this is where I have done all of the work to get him comfortable and happy and really willing to work and interact with me during our sessions. So we moved back into room 4 after he had spent some time on our treatment tables in the back, and he was willing to take treats, he was willing to work for me a little bit and just have a generally good time in this space after the minor stressful experience of being on a raised surface in the treatment area, okay? It was in here that I introduced needle approximations. So you can use a pin to kind of approximate the sensation of a needle against the skin, or you can use a paper clip if you just want to unwrap it slightly so that you have one of the butt ends pointed outward. And you can just gently kind of scrape that up and down his foreleg. So it's going to look a little like this. Can you come over here, sir? What's under there? What's so smelly? Can you come over here? You touch? She's like, what are you going to do with that? Oh, yep, that's good boy. So any interaction with your needle approximate needs to be reinforcing. So if he's willing to move it with his nose, you can reward for that. If he's willing to let you touch any part of his body with it, yeah, good boy, you can touch him for that. I like to start with strokes because they're a little more reminiscent of petting. And we've been working on the gentle pinches and kind of scrunches to approximate the needle pokes too. So this is a nice way to kind of meld the two scenarios and two sensations together, is with those pin strokes. And then you can shift into just gentle pressure with the pin in single spots, okay? To kind of imitate what it's going to feel like when he gets the pressure from a needle going through subcutaneously. And so we did this, and I just practiced kind of picking up one of his paws, He says, I'm really uncomfortable with this now, Ms. Laura. We've been practicing a little too much. Yep, good boy. Just picking up one of his paws, which is another thing he's not too thrilled with. Yeah, and then just gently stroking. Yep, that's it. And if he tolerates it at all, if he doesn't scream or squirm or try to get away from me, I immediately release and give him some cookies. Okay? Now keep in mind, we are using this mat as kind of a consent from him to practice this. If he chose to get up and walk away, I'm not going to chase him down and try to force this to happen. Look at you settling. What a good boy. What a good boy. I'm just going to do that. Yep. Wow, so good and brave. That's a good boy. Very good. And you don't have to really hammer this. This can just be easily slipped into a play session. If you notice him kind of settling down, tuckering out a little bit, just bring a pin around and gently practice some gentle pokes. Yep, that was good. I know that was a little awkward, but you did fine. You didn't scream. Yeah, good job. Some gentle strokes, things like that. And then walk away. End of the session. That's it. Yeah, I know. Outside of this approximation, we also worked on building duration with some additional distractions in the environment today. So he is a little more sedate now than he was at the beginning, so I think I'm going to be able to capture some really good duration work here. We practiced our breath testing last week. I noticed that he can hold his down now for 1 to 2 breaths before he decides to break or before I can move to reward him. So I'm going to introduce some sound distractions now where I just, gently create different sounds. Yep. Very good. And anytime he stops working on a treat, that shows me that he's kind of thinking about the sound and if he really should care or worry about it or not. So if he does kind of freeze in the midst of chewing, just continue the noise. You don't need to try and offer him more. And see if he chooses to continue working on the treat, or like right now, he's decided to get up and walk around. That's an indication that the noises are a little stressful and he is not really ready to learn while he's kind of dealing with this noise, okay? Or you're gonna hide behind me where it's safe. Yeah, that's okay. You can also practice moving towards a door while he is in a down. Now this is the real challenge for him. He's in frame right now, so I'm gonna use his position right here to build duration as I move to the door that's actually off camera. Yep. And just like we do with our breaths, we're going to practice building distance like this, 1 step at a time. And I'm touching the door. Yep. Good boy. That was it. That was it. Yeah. At this point in the exercise, if he breaks, it's not such a huge deal after I've already marked for the correct behavior. I do want to make sure that our reward, where he set himself up, to kind of build reinforcement history from about that distance. Yep, that's a good boy. I'm gonna give you another cookie. I know there's a lot going on through that door. Yeah, he's starting to get tired, a little concerned. Oh, that was not good. That was not good. Can you sit? Yep. Good job. Yep. Good boy. Yep. And you want to make sure, notice that I'm facing him the whole time. I'm stepping backwards. Touching the door. Yep. Good job. Good boy. And we're going to end on that rep because that was a nice success. Okay? You want to make sure that you're facing him for this exercise, at least initially. You can practice pivoting away from him in later sessions. But you want to have eyes on him so that you can know what triggered him to break. Okay? If you take 3 steps away and he broke on that 3rd step, next rep you should only take 2 steps and reward as you get 2 steps away from him. Okay? You're working on building this distance. You don't want to try and jump from 1 step to 5 steps and expect him to win. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions about building duration or about the approximation exercises that I mentioned. He is doing so much better. I think after his neuter, I'd like to get him back in just for 1 final session so that he can have another positive experience after the bit of stress that he is definitely going to be experiencing during his neuter procedure. That's going to involve some sedation and some injectables and then having to come out of the sedation. So having another positive experience right on the back of that is going to be really valuable for him so that his next visit, which is probably not going to be for a few weeks, is going to be a little more reliably settled and confident from him. Okay? But you did so good for me today, Bubba. You were so brave, and you even said hi to all the technicians. Yay!